In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where stars danced like ancient lanterns and planets spun their eternal waltz, there existed a small blue world that humans called Earth. It was here, in the year 2147, that our story begins, not with thunderous explosions or dramatic space battles, but with the quiet hum of machinery and the soft glow of holographic displays. Elliot had always been drawn to the stars. From his earliest days as a child gazing up at the night sky from his family's modest homestead in rural Canada, he'd felt an inexplicable pull toward the unknown. Now, decades later, he stood as one of humanity's foremost xenobiologists, stationed aboard the research vessel Astrea, orbiting the enigmatic planet designated X-427. The planet itself was a swirling mass of violet clouds and iridescent storms, its surface hidden beneath layers of atmospheric mystery that had baffled scientists for generations. The Astrea wasn't just any research vessel. It was a marvel of human engineering, equipped with state-of-the-art laboratories, quantum communication arrays, and advanced terraforming simulation chambers. Its mission was clear yet daunting: to study and catalog the myriad forms of extraterrestrial life discovered during humanity's expansion into the galaxy. Elliot's particular focus lay in understanding the complex biological systems of alien species, a pursuit that had earned him both admiration and skepticism among his peers. As he moved through the ship's corridors, the faint vibrations of the vessel's engines resonating through the soles of his boots, Elliot couldn't help but reflect on how far they'd come since humanity's first tentative steps beyond their solar system. The discovery of faster-than-light travel had opened doors to countless worlds, each more astonishing than the last. Yet despite all these advancements, nothing could have prepared him for what would happen on this particular mission. The day began like any other, with routine scans and data analysis. But as the science team gathered in the main observation deck, something unusual appeared on their long-range sensors, a massive energy signature emanating from the planet's upper atmosphere. At first, they thought it might be some previously undetected weather phenomenon, but as they focused their instruments, the readings became increasingly anomalous. The energy pattern pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat, and seemed to be moving in deliberate patterns across the planet's surface. Could be a new form of electromagnetic organism, suggested Dr. Chen, the ship's astrophysicist, her fingers dancing across the control panel as she adjusted the sensor array. But these readings, they're unlike anything we've encountered before. Elliot leaned forward, his eyes locked on the display screens. There was something about those pulsations that felt familiar, though he couldn't quite place why. His mind raced through countless case studies and theoretical papers, searching for a precedent. Then, without warning, the entire ship shuddered violently, throwing everyone off balance. Alarms blared throughout the vessel as the artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. "What the hell was that?" demanded Captain Rourke, rushing onto the bridge moments later. Her usually composed demeanor was replaced by genuine concern as she surveyed the chaos. Before anyone could respond, the main view screen flickered to life, displaying an image that would change everything. Emerging from the planet's atmosphere was a structure so massive it defied comprehension. An enormous crystalline formation that sparkled with millions of colors, each facet reflecting light in impossible ways. And within its core, visible even from their position in high orbit, floated what appeared to be a living being. The creature, though calling it simply a creature felt somehow inadequate, was unlike anything recorded in human databases. Its body seemed to exist simultaneously in multiple dimensions, shifting between solid and liquid states while radiating an aura of pure energy. Tentacle-like appendages extended from its central mass, each one terminating in intricate, geometric patterns that glowed with inner light. Most striking of all were its eyes, if they could indeed be called eyes, dozens of them arranged across its surface, each one containing galaxies within their depths. "This isn't natural," whispered Dr. Patel, the senior xenologist, her voice trembling with equal parts fear and wonder. It's technological, biological, something else entirely." As if sensing their presence, the being turned its attention toward the Astrea. In that moment, every member of the crew experienced a sensation they couldn't explain, a wave of emotions and images flooding their minds, speaking directly to their consciousness rather than through conventional means. Through this bizarre communion, they understood two things. This was no mere alien entity, but a queen of unimaginable power and intelligence. And she was in dire need of assistance. The revelation hit Elliot with the force of a supernova. Here was proof positive of intelligent extraterrestrial life. Not just intelligent, but operating on a scale beyond human comprehension. More importantly, this queen, this magnificent being, required their help. Without hesitation, he stepped forward, his voice steady despite the turmoil raging inside him. "We have to help her," he declared, meeting Captain Rourke's concerned gaze. "Whatever she is, whatever she represents, we can't turn away from this. Not when we might be the only ones who can assist." The captain studied him for a long moment before nodding slowly. "Prepare a shuttle," she commanded. "Dr. Elliot, you're leading this mission. Assemble your team and get ready for deployment. We don't know what we're dealing with here, but one thing's certain, we're about to make history." As the words left her mouth, Elliot felt a mixture of exhilaration and trepidation course through his veins. He was about to embark on an adventure that would challenge everything he knew about life, intelligence, and the universe itself. Little did he realize that this encounter would set into motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of human-alien relations, and his own destiny. The journey from the Astrea to the crystalline structure proved more challenging than anticipated. Turbulent atmospheric currents buffeted the shuttlecraft, forcing Elliot and his three-person team to navigate through increasingly hostile conditions. Lightning-like discharges crackled around them, painting the cockpit windows with electric blue streaks that made visibility nearly impossible. Dr. Chen, piloting the shuttle with remarkable precision, maintained a steady stream of technical commentary while maintaining their descent vector. "We're entering the structure's outer field now," she announced, her voice calm despite the chaos surrounding them. "Readings indicate some form of adaptive shielding. It's reshaping itself to accommodate our approach." Elliot gripped the edge of his seat, watching as the crystalline architecture loomed larger through the viewport. Up close, the structure revealed even more complexity than their initial scans had suggested. Each crystal appeared to pulse with individual rhythms, creating a symphony of light that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of space-time. The air within the shuttle grew heavy with anticipation as they approached what appeared to be an entrance, a massive archway formed by interlocking crystals that shifted and rearranged themselves as they drew near. The landing procedure was delicate, requiring precise coordination between the shuttle's automated systems and Chen's manual adjustments. Finally, with a gentle thud, they touched down on a platform that materialized beneath them, seemingly grown from the same crystalline substance as the rest of the structure. As the team suited up for their first contact mission, Elliot couldn't help but notice the subtle changes in the air pressure and temperature, the environment adapting to their presence, welcoming them in its own mysterious way. Stepping out of the shuttle, the team found themselves in a chamber that defied conventional physics. The walls curved and twisted in impossible geometries, creating optical illusions that made it difficult to determine the room's true size or shape. A soft, melodic hum filled the space, vibrating through their suits and resonating in their bones. It wasn't until they moved deeper into the structure that they encountered their first direct manifestation of the Queen's presence. She appeared gradually, her form coalescing from the ambient energy fields that permeated the chamber. Unlike the distant view from orbit, up close she was both more terrifying and more beautiful. Her body flowed like liquid mercury, constantly shifting between states of matter while maintaining perfect cohesion. The galaxy-filled eyes now dominated her presence, each one locking onto different members of the team simultaneously, conveying a depth of consciousness that made Elliot feel simultaneously insignificant and profoundly connected. Their first attempts at communication proved frustratingly ineffective. Standard protocols for first contact, including mathematical sequences, visual patterns, and basic linguistic constructs, elicited no discernible response. It wasn't until Elliot, acting on instinct rather than established procedure, initiated a rhythmic tapping sequence on the crystalline floor that things began to change. The Queen responded immediately, her form pulsing in sync with his taps, then expanding the pattern into a complex harmonic resonance that vibrated through the entire structure. Through this newfound method of communication, they began to understand the nature of her distress. The Queen, whose species had evolved to symbiotically maintain the delicate balance of ecosystems across multiple planets, was dying, not from injury or disease, but from a fundamental disruption in the cosmic energies she depended upon for survival. Her people, known as the Luminari, had long served as guardians of galactic harmony, their existence intricately woven into the fabric of stellar evolution. However, recent phenomena, possibly linked to humanity's increasing space presence, had created ripples in the universal energy field, threatening not just the Queen's survival but potentially the stability of entire star systems. As the realization of the situation's magnitude settled over the team, Elliot found himself stepping forward again, driven by a compulsion he couldn't fully explain. Through their improvised communication method, he began detailing humanity's scientific knowledge, focusing on energy dynamics and ecosystem preservation. The Queen responded with increasingly complex patterns, demonstrating techniques and technologies that made their most advanced research seem primitive by comparison. Hours stretched into what felt like days as they exchanged information, each revelation building upon the last. The Queen shared insights into dimensional physics that challenged everything Elliot thought he knew about reality. She demonstrated how her people manipulated fundamental forces to maintain cosmic balance, revealing methods that could revolutionize human understanding of energy manipulation and environmental sustainability. In return, Elliot presented solutions based on human scientific principles, adapting them to work within the Luminary framework. Throughout this exchange, Elliot became aware of another dimension to their interaction, one that transcended the purely intellectual. The Queen communicated not just through patterns and symbols, but through raw emotion and experience. He felt echoes of her people's history, their triumphs and tragedies, their deep connection to the universe's fundamental forces. These emotional transmissions carried a weight that words could never convey, forging a bond between them that went beyond mere cooperation. As their understanding deepened, the Queen began responding more actively to their efforts. She guided them through sections of her crystalline palace that adapted to their needs, creating interfaces that translated complex concepts into tangible experiences. They witnessed firsthand how her people had maintained cosmic balance for millennia, manipulating gravitational fields and stellar radiation to nurture developing ecosystems across the galaxy. The implications of this knowledge staggered Elliot's imagination. Here was technology and understanding that could solve countless human problems, from climate change to resource scarcity. Yet with each revelation came greater awareness of the stakes involved. The Queen's condition worsened visibly as they worked, her once brilliant form dimming slightly with each passing hour. The urgency of their mission pressed heavily upon them, driving them to push beyond their limits. Elliot found himself drawing upon reserves of determination he didn't know he possessed, fueled by a growing sense of responsibility not just to the Queen, but to the future of interspecies cooperation. Through their continued collaboration, they developed a hybrid solution combining human scientific methodology with luminary energy manipulation techniques. The process involved creating a series of energy conduits that would allow the Queen to temporarily stabilize her connection to the disrupted cosmic field. Each step forward brought new challenges, requiring innovative thinking and constant adaptation. The Queen's guidance became crucial, her centuries of experience providing insights that repeatedly saved them from potential disasters. As they worked side by side, human scientists and an alien monarch united in purpose, Elliot began to grasp the profound significance of this moment. This wasn't merely a rescue mission, it was the beginning of something far greater. With every successful test of their combined technology, with every breakthrough in understanding, they were laying the foundation for a new era of interspecies cooperation. The boundaries between teacher and student blurred, as both parties learned and grew from the exchange. The culmination of their efforts arrived unexpectedly, in a moment of profound clarity. After hours of intense collaboration, the Queen suddenly extended several of her crystalline appendages, enveloping Elliot and his team in a cocoon of shimmering energy. For a brief instant, time seemed to stand still as they experienced a flood of sensations unlike anything they'd ever encountered. Visions of distant galaxies, ancient civilizations, and cosmic phenomena danced before their minds' eyes, accompanied by a symphony of harmonious frequencies that resonated through their very souls. When the energy field dissipated, leaving them standing in the crystalline chamber, Elliot realized something fundamental had changed. The Queen's form appeared more stable, her once fading luminescence restored to its former brilliance. But more significantly, he felt an unspoken understanding pass between them, an acknowledgement of the debt she owed to these human visitors who had risked everything to aid her. Without words, through the now established harmonic communication, the Queen conveyed her gratitude. Her immense consciousness reached out, touching each member of the team individually, sharing fragments of her people's history and culture. Elliot saw visions of the luminary civilization at its height, witnessed their role as cosmic stewards, and understood the depth of their commitment to maintaining universal balance. The experience left him breathless, overwhelmed by the scope of what he'd helped preserve. Then came the invitation, An offer so unexpected and profound that it took several moments for its full implications to register. Through their harmonic language, the Queen expressed her desire to show proper appreciation for their assistance. She extended an invitation to Elliot alone, requesting his presence in her private chambers, a sacred space within the crystalline palace that no outsider had ever entered. The honor of such a gesture struck him deeply, carrying weight far beyond simple hospitality. As Elliot prepared to accept the invitation, his teammates exchanged concerned glances. Dr. Patel voiced their collective apprehension. "Are you sure about this? We don't fully understand the cultural implications, or what might be expected of you." But Elliot felt an unwavering certainty compelling him forward. This wasn't merely about personal recognition. It represented the potential for unprecedented interspecies understanding. Following the Queen's radiant path through the crystalline corridors, Elliot marveled at how the structure itself seemed to transform around him. Walls shifted and reconfigured, creating a passage that appeared to exist outside normal spatial constraints. The air grew thick with an otherworldly fragrance, a blend of ozone and something indescribably sweet, while the ambient light shifted through colors that seemed to exist beyond human perception. Each step brought new wonders. Crystalline formations that sang in harmonic tones, pools of liquid light that rippled with consciousness, and structures that defied conventional geometry. When they finally reached the threshold of the Queen's private chambers, Elliot paused, overwhelmed by the sheer majesty of the entrance. The doorway itself seemed alive, its crystalline surface flowing like liquid silver while maintaining perfect structural integrity. Patterns of light danced across its surface, forming intricate designs that told stories of the Luminary's ancient past. The Queen gestured, with a movement that seemed both physical and telepathic, for him to proceed. Stepping through the threshold, Elliot found himself in a space that defied all conventional understanding of interior design. The chamber appeared infinite, its boundaries lost in a sea of shimmering constellations that seemed to breathe and pulse with life. Islands of crystalline furniture floated at various levels, each piece radiating its own unique frequency. Gravity itself seemed to bend and flow, allowing him to move freely in any direction without discomfort. The Queen positioned herself at the chamber's center, her form expanding to fill the space with a gentle luminescence. Around them, holographic projections of Luminary history and culture began to unfold. Scenes of their civilization's evolution, their stewardship of cosmic balance, and their interactions with other species throughout the galaxy. Through these visual narratives, Elliot gained insight into the depth of their society's sophistication and their philosophy of universal harmony. What struck him most profoundly was the chamber's ability to adapt to his presence. As he moved through the space, elements of the environment shifted to accommodate his human perspective. Complex luminary symbols transformed into understandable patterns, and the harmonic frequencies adjusted to frequencies his brain could process. It was as if the entire chamber was engaged in a sophisticated dance of cultural translation, ensuring maximum understanding while preserving the integrity of their traditions. The Queen began communicating through a combination of harmonic patterns and direct neural stimulation, sharing aspects of her personal history and experiences. Elliot felt the weight of eons pressing upon him, not as a burden, but as a gift of understanding. He witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations through her eyes, experienced the birth and death of stars as she had lived them, and comprehended the delicate web of cosmic relationships she had spent millennia nurturing. Most remarkably, he began to perceive the true nature of the reward being offered. It wasn't wealth or power, nor even simple gratitude. Instead, the Queen was extending an opportunity for profound interspecies connection, a chance to bridge the gap between human and luminary consciousness in a way that could fundamentally alter the course of both civilizations. Through their shared experiences in this sacred space, they were forging a new paradigm of understanding, one that transcended traditional notions of diplomacy or scientific exchange. As the chamber continued to reveal its secrets, Elliot realized he was witnessing something unprecedented in human history, a true meeting of minds between vastly different species, facilitated by a level of technological and spiritual sophistication that humanity had only begun to imagine. The implications of this moment stretched far beyond his personal experience, hinting at possibilities for future cooperation and mutual growth that could reshape the destiny of both their peoples. Caught between the overwhelming grandeur of the Queen's chamber and the profound implications of their shared experience, Elliot found himself grappling with conflicting emotions that threatened to overwhelm his scientific detachment. The chamber's infinite expanse seemed to echo his internal turmoil, its crystalline surfaces reflecting not just his physical presence but the storm of thoughts raging within him. The Queen's luminous form pulsed with understanding, her galaxy-filled eyes seeming to peer directly into the deepest recesses of his soul. He felt an almost primal urge to retreat, to return to the familiar confines of human understanding and scientific methodology. The weight of interspecies diplomacy, the responsibility of representing humanity in this unprecedented encounter, pressed heavily upon his shoulders. Every instinct honed through years of academic training screamed at him to maintain professional distance, to document and analyze rather than immerse himself in this alien experience. Yet, paradoxically, another part of him, a part he barely recognized, yearned to surrender completely to the moment, to let the boundaries between self and other dissolve in the face of this cosmic communion. The Queen seemed to sense his internal conflict, her form shifting into a configuration that radiated both patience and encouragement. Through their established harmonic communication, she conveyed understanding of his struggle, sharing fragments of similar experiences from her people's history. Elliot glimpsed moments when the Luminari themselves had faced comparable crossroads, times when their civilization had encountered beings so fundamentally different that it had forced them to question their own identity and purpose. These revelations triggered memories of his own past, the countless hours spent poring over xenobiology texts, the debates with skeptical colleagues about the likelihood of intelligent extraterrestrial life, the sleepless nights wondering if humanity would ever truly connect with another species. All those moments of doubt and hope crystallized in this instant, demanding resolution. He found himself questioning everything he thought he knew about first contact scenarios, about the nature of consciousness and communication, about what it truly meant to represent humanity in such a momentous encounter. The chamber itself seemed to respond to his internal conflict, its crystalline structures rearranging into patterns that reflected his turmoil. Pools of liquid light swirled with increased intensity, casting kaleidoscopic shadows that danced across the infinite space. The harmonic frequencies shifted subtly, creating a counterpoint to his racing thoughts, a cosmic lullaby that both soothed and challenged his resistance. Through this symphony of light and sound, Elliot began to recognize the true nature of his dilemma. It wasn't just about maintaining professional distance or protecting human interests, it was about confronting the limitations of his own perspective. The Queen's invitation represented more than a simple reward. It was an opportunity to transcend the boundaries of species, to forge a connection that could redefine humanity's place in the cosmos. Yet accepting this required letting go of deeply ingrained prejudices and fears, embracing vulnerability in the face of the unknown. As these realizations crystallized in his mind, Elliot felt something shift within him. The conflict didn't resolve completely, perhaps it never would, but he began to see it as a necessary tension, a catalyst for growth rather than an obstacle to overcome. The Queen's presence, once overwhelmingly alien, now felt like a mirror reflecting his own potential for transformation. Their shared experience in the sacred space was becoming something more than diplomatic protocol or scientific curiosity. It was evolving into a profound interspecies dialogue that could shape the future of both their civilizations. The chamber's infinite expanse seemed to acknowledge this shift, its crystalline surfaces softening their reflections, the harmonic frequencies settling into a more supportive rhythm. Elliot found himself breathing easier, though his heart still raced with the enormity of what lay ahead. The Queen's luminous form pulsed with renewed energy, her galaxy-filled eyes now conveying not just understanding but also anticipation, a shared recognition that they stood on the threshold of something truly unprecedented in the annals of interspecies relations. As Elliot grappled with his internal conflict, the Queen initiated a sequence of events that would challenge everything he thought he understood about consciousness and connection. From her central position in the chamber, she began weaving a complex tapestry of harmonic frequencies, each note resonating with specific crystalline formations throughout the space. These formations, in turn, projected streams of liquid light that converged around Elliot, creating a cocoon of pure energy that pulsed with mathematical precision. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Elliot's consciousness expanded beyond its usual boundaries, merging with the chamber's crystalline matrix in a way that defied conventional understanding. Through this connection, he experienced the Queen's memories, not as passive observer but as active participant. He felt the genesis of the Luminari civilization, witnessed their first conscious manipulation of cosmic forces, and shared in their millennia-long journey of stewardship across the galaxy. Each memory carried not just visual information but complete sensory immersion, accompanied by the emotional resonance of countless generations. The Queen guided him through pivotal moments in her people's history. Their encounters with other advanced species, the development of their energy-based physiology, and their gradual understanding of their role in maintaining cosmic balance. Through these shared experiences, Elliot began to comprehend the true nature of the Luminaries' existence. They weren't merely intelligent beings but living embodiments of universal principles, their very consciousness woven into the fabric of space-time itself. Most profoundly, he experienced their concept of harmonic unity, a state of being where individual consciousness merged with the collective without losing personal identity. This wasn't hive mind mentality as humans understood it, but something far more sophisticated, a symphony of individual voices contributing to a greater cosmic melody while retaining their unique tonal qualities. Through this shared state, Elliot began to understand how the Luminari perceived their relationship with the universe, not as rulers or masters, but as participants in an ongoing cosmic dance. The experience pushed the boundaries of human cognition, forcing Elliot's mind to adapt and expand in ways that should have been impossible. His neural pathways rewired themselves in real time, creating new connections that allowed him to process and retain information far beyond normal human capacity. Yet this wasn't just about enhanced intelligence. It was about fundamental changes in perception. He began seeing patterns in the universe's structure that had always been present but invisible to human senses. Quantum fluctuations that formed intricate mandalas, gravitational waves that sang in perfect harmony, and dark matter formations that told stories older than stars. Through this expanded consciousness, Elliot grasped the true significance of the Queen's distress. Her people's role as cosmic stewards required maintaining specific energy balances across vast regions of space. The disruptions caused by humanity's expansion had created ripples in these energy fields, threatening not just the Luminari's survival but the stability of entire star systems. What had initially seemed like a localized crisis revealed itself as a potential catastrophe with galaxy-wide implications. The Queen's actions took on new meaning as Elliot experienced her people's response to similar crises throughout history. He witnessed how they had adapted their biology and technology to address previous threats, each solution building upon centuries of accumulated wisdom. Yet this current challenge differed fundamentally. The scale of human technological advancement and population growth presented unprecedented variables that required novel approaches. As their consciousness remained intertwined, Elliot found himself contributing to the problem-solving process in ways that surprised even himself. His human perspective, filtered through his expanded awareness, suggested combinations of Luminari and human technologies that neither species had considered independently. The Queen responded with increased harmonic complexity, acknowledging the value of his contributions while guiding him toward deeper understanding of their implications. This collaborative exploration of solutions revealed something even more significant: the potential for a new form of interspecies cooperation. By combining human ingenuity with Luminari cosmic awareness, they could create hybrid technologies that addressed not just the immediate crisis but also laid the foundation for sustainable galactic development. The ramifications extended far beyond simple technological exchange. They hinted at the possibility of a shared evolutionary path, where human and Luminari consciousness could continue to influence and enhance each other. Through this profound connection, Elliot began to understand the true nature of the reward being offered. It wasn't just access to advanced technology or privileged information. It was the opportunity to participate in a cosmic transformation that could redefine the relationship between species across the galaxy. The Queen's invitation to her private chamber represented the first step in what could become a new paradigm of interspecies cooperation, where boundaries between self and other, between species and environment, dissolved into a higher state of unified consciousness. As their shared experience deepened, Elliot realized they were creating something unprecedented: a bridge between human linear thinking and Luminari harmonic consciousness. This synthesis wasn't just about solving immediate problems. It was about establishing a framework for future interactions that could prevent similar crises while fostering mutual growth and understanding. The implications stretched beyond their immediate situation, suggesting possibilities for interspecies relations that humanity had only dreamed of achieving. The chamber itself seemed to respond to this emerging understanding, its crystalline structures rearranging into new configurations that reflected their combined insights. The harmonic frequencies shifted into patterns more complex than anything they'd previously created, suggesting solutions and possibilities that neither species could have conceived independently. Through this cosmic symphony, Elliot and the Queen were forging a new language of cooperation, one that transcended traditional barriers of communication and understanding, laying the groundwork for a partnership that could reshape the destiny of both their civilizations. As Elliot's consciousness continued to expand within the Queen's chamber, he found himself navigating realms of understanding that defied conventional categorization. The crystalline structures around him began to manifest as living archives, each facet containing compressed histories of entire civilizations. Through their shared harmonic connection, he accessed knowledge that spanned eons. Technological breakthroughs, philosophical insights, and ecological wisdom that had shaped the development of countless species across the galaxy. The Queen guided him through these archives with exquisite precision, selecting strands of information that resonated with humanity's current trajectory. He witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations that had mastered energy manipulation only to collapse under the weight of their own hubris. He experienced the slow, deliberate evolution of species who had chosen sustainable growth over rapid expansion, their progress measured not in centuries but in millennia of careful cultivation. Each narrative carried lessons both cautionary and inspirational, painting a complex picture of galactic development that made humanity's recent achievements seem both remarkable and perilously naive. Through this exposure, Elliot began to grasp the true scope of the challenge facing both their species. The disruptions caused by human expansion weren't isolated incidents but symptoms of a larger pattern, a fundamental misunderstanding of how technological advancement interacted with cosmic balance. The Queen's people had encountered similar situations countless times throughout their history, but never with a species possessing humanity's unique combination of adaptability, creativity, and sheer numbers. Their shared consciousness revealed something even more profound. The potential consequences of failing to address these disruptions extended far beyond immediate environmental concerns. The ripples in cosmic energy fields were beginning to affect fundamental constants of the universe. Subtle shifts in gravitational interactions, minute variations in the speed of light, and barely perceptible alterations in quantum probabilities. These changes, while currently imperceptible to human instruments, threatened to accumulate over time, potentially leading to catastrophic instabilities in the fabric of space-time itself. The Queen demonstrated how her people had traditionally addressed such threats through a combination of technological intervention and conscious attunement to universal forces. She shared techniques for manipulating energy fields that bordered on magic from a human perspective, methods of folding spacetime, harmonizing conflicting frequencies, and stabilizing quantum fluctuations using nothing more than focused consciousness and precisely calibrated crystalline structures. Yet these solutions required centuries of preparation and a level of collective awareness that humanity had yet to achieve. Through their continued mental fusion, Elliot began contributing ideas that combined human scientific principles with luminary cosmic understanding. He proposed hybrid approaches that leveraged humanity's rapid technological innovation while incorporating the luminary's deep connection to fundamental forces. The Queen responded with increased harmonic complexity, indicating both approval and expansion of his concepts. Together, they explored possibilities for creating artificial ecosystems that could serve as buffers between human development and sensitive cosmic regions, designing structures that would grow and adapt like living organisms while maintaining precise energy balances. Their collaboration revealed something even more significant: the potential for a new form of consciousness to emerge from their combined efforts. Just as humanity had once evolved from separate tribes into global communities, and the luminary had developed their harmonic unity, their species could potentially create a third state of being, a synthesis that retained the best qualities of both while transcending their individual limitations. This wasn't just about technological exchange or diplomatic relations. It was about the evolution of consciousness itself. As they delved deeper into this possibility, the chamber's crystalline structures began to manifest this emerging synthesis. New patterns emerged that combined human linear logic with luminary harmonic awareness, creating frameworks for understanding that neither species could have developed independently. These patterns suggested solutions to problems that had long seemed insurmountable, from sustainable terraforming to instantaneous communication across vast distances, all while maintaining the delicate balance of cosmic forces. The Queen began integrating these new patterns into her own consciousness, demonstrating how they could be applied to stabilize the disrupted energy fields threatening her people's survival. Through their shared awareness, Elliot experienced the implementation of these solutions in real time, feeling the cosmic ripples smooth out as their combined understanding took effect. Yet each success revealed new challenges, deeper layers of complexity that demanded even more sophisticated responses. Their work began to attract attention from other quarters of the crystalline palace. Other luminary entities, members of the Queen's court or perhaps aspects of her own consciousness, joined their effort, contributing additional perspectives and insights. Through this expanded connection, Elliot received glimpses of the broader luminary civilization, vast networks of crystalline structures spanning multiple star systems, each node pulsing with harmonic frequencies that maintained local cosmic balance while contributing to the greater whole. These revelations carried profound implications for humanity's future. The luminaries' example suggested that technological advancement needn't lead to environmental destruction or social fragmentation, that progress could be achieved through harmony rather than conquest. Their systems of governance, based on harmonic resonance rather than hierarchical authority, offered alternatives to human political structures that might prove more stable and equitable in the long term. Yet with each new insight came greater awareness of the responsibility they were undertaking. The solutions they were developing wouldn't just affect their immediate situation. They would establish precedents for future interspecies interactions across the galaxy. The patterns they created would serve as templates for other civilizations facing similar challenges, potentially influencing the development of countless species for millennia to come. As their work progressed, Elliot found himself caught between two equally compelling imperatives: the need to share this knowledge with humanity and the recognition that such powerful understanding required careful stewardship. The Queen seemed to share this concern, her harmonic communications conveying both trust and caution. Through their continued fusion of consciousness, they began exploring ways to translate these cosmic insights into forms that humanity could safely incorporate without risking the same disruptions they were working to prevent. Their efforts took on an almost ritualistic quality, with each new discovery followed by careful consideration of its implications and appropriate application. The chamber responded by transforming into increasingly complex configurations, its crystalline structures arranging themselves into patterns that served as living metaphors for the challenges and opportunities they faced. Through these manifestations, they tested their theories, refined their approaches, and built a foundation of understanding that would eventually need to be communicated to both their species. The process revealed something fundamental about the nature of consciousness and evolution itself. The synthesis they were creating wasn't just a temporary solution to an immediate crisis. It represented a new stage in the development of intelligent life in the universe. By bridging the gap between human and luminary awareness, they were forging a path that other species might follow, creating possibilities for interspecies cooperation and mutual growth that could reshape the destiny of galactic civilization. As their work continued, Elliot found himself wondering whether this moment marked the beginning of a new epoch in cosmic history, an age where different forms of consciousness could merge and evolve together, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. The Queen's harmonic responses suggested that she shared this vision, her galaxy-filled eyes reflecting not just the past and present but also the vast potential of what might come next. The crystalline chamber pulsed with renewed intensity as Elliot and the Queen approached what felt like a critical juncture in their collaboration. The patterns of light and sound had evolved into a complex symphony that seemed to encompass all they had learned and experienced together. Yet beneath this apparent harmony, Elliot detected subtle dissonances, frequencies that clashed with the overall composition, creating ripples of tension that spread through the chamber's infinite expanse. The Queen's form shifted into a configuration that Elliot hadn't seen before, her crystalline appendages extending in directions that seemed to defy spatial logic. Through their established harmonic connection, she conveyed a sense of urgency mixed with something akin to sorrow. Images flooded his consciousness, visions of civilizations that had reached similar points of interspecies cooperation only to falter due to fundamental misunderstandings or incompatible values. These weren't just historical records but warnings, each scenario highlighting the precarious balance between progress and preservation. Elliot found himself struggling with a new dimension of their challenge. The solutions they had developed, while theoretically sound, carried implications that transcended technical implementation. The hybrid technologies they designed required not just physical construction but a fundamental shift in consciousness, both human and luminary. The Queen's harmonic frequencies revealed that her people faced their own internal conflicts about the proposed synthesis, debates that echoed humanity's struggles with technological advancement and social change. Through their shared awareness, Elliot experienced fragments of these debates. Some factions within luminary society viewed the proposed collaboration as a necessary evolution, while others saw it as a dangerous dilution of their cosmic stewardship. The Queen herself embodied this tension, her form oscillating between states of crystalline perfection and fluid uncertainty. Her galaxy-filled eyes reflected not just the stars they contained but the weight of leadership decisions that could alter the course of her civilization. The chamber responded to these tensions by manifesting new crystalline structures, complex formations that represented the competing perspectives and potential outcomes. Some structures pulsed with harmonious light, suggesting paths of integration and mutual growth. Others fractured and reformed continuously, symbolizing the risks of attempting too much too quickly. As Elliot moved through this evolving landscape, he felt the weight of responsibility pressing upon him, not just for humanity's future but for the integrity of the Luminari civilization as well. Their shared consciousness revealed something even more profound: the fundamental differences in how their species perceived time and consequence. The Luminari operated on scales that made human lifespans seem fleeting, their decisions influenced by consequences that might not manifest for centuries. Yet humanity's rapid pace of development demanded solutions that could be implemented within decades, if not years. Bridging this temporal gap required creating frameworks that could satisfy both perspectives, structures flexible enough to adapt to human urgency while maintaining the long-term stability the Luminari required. The Queen initiated a new sequence of harmonic patterns, inviting Elliot to explore the underlying mathematics of their proposed solutions. As he delved into these calculations, he discovered hidden complexities that had escaped their earlier analyses. The energy fields they sought to stabilize weren't just physical phenomena but contained encoded information, records of past civilizations, dormant consciousnesses, and potential futures waiting to emerge. Their interventions risked disrupting these informational matrices, potentially unleashing unintended consequences that could ripple through both species' histories. Through their continued mental fusion, they began developing safeguards, layered protocols that would protect these informational reservoirs while allowing their solutions to function. The chamber's crystalline structures rearranged themselves into fractal patterns that represented these protective measures, each iteration more intricate than the last. Yet with each refinement came new questions about implementation and oversight. Who would manage these systems? How could they ensure adherence to principles that spanned both human and Luminari values? The Queen's harmonic communications grew more complex, introducing Elliot to concepts of cosmic ethics that transcended conventional morality. She shared instances where her people had faced similar dilemmas, making choices that had seemed right at the time but had unforeseen repercussions generations later. Through these experiences, Elliot began to understand the true challenge they faced, creating a framework for decision-making that could adapt to circumstances neither species could currently predict while remaining true to fundamental principles of harmony and balance. Their work took on a new dimension as they began addressing the social and cultural implications of their proposed synthesis. The Queen revealed aspects of Luminari society that had remained hidden until now: rituals of cosmic attunement, methods of consciousness transfer, and practices for maintaining collective harmony. These traditions carried wisdom that could benefit humanity's development but also represented vulnerabilities that needed protection. Elliot found himself navigating a labyrinth of ethical considerations, each choice carrying implications that affected both species' identities and futures. As they worked through these challenges, the chamber's atmosphere shifted subtly. The harmonic frequencies took on a quality of anticipation mixed with caution, as if the very space recognized the significance of their deliberations. Crystalline formations began manifesting in patterns that suggested possible future scenarios, some showing thriving interspecies cooperation, others depicting tragic misunderstandings. These projections weren't predictions but possibilities, each one demanding careful consideration and planning. The Queen guided Elliot through these potential futures, allowing him to experience their implications from both human and Luminari perspectives. He witnessed scenarios where their collaboration led to unprecedented advances in technology and consciousness, but also situations where miscommunication or impatience resulted in catastrophic failures. Through these experiences, the chamber's harmonic frequencies began to coalesce into a single, resonant tone, a convergence of human ingenuity and Luminari wisdom. Elliot felt the weight of their shared responsibility crystallize into clarity. Together, they devised a hybrid network, an interwoven system of energy conduits and consciousness bridges that would stabilize cosmic forces while fostering mutual growth. The Queen's form shimmered with approval as she infused the design with safeguards to protect both species' core values. But the true test came when Elliot returned to the Astrea, carrying not just knowledge but fragments of the Queen's consciousness embedded within him. His team watched in awe as he demonstrated technologies and principles that defied human understanding, yet remained grounded in ethical frameworks. Humanity faced a choice: embrace this new path of coexistence or retreat into familiar isolation. In the end, the decision rested with Captain Rourke, who gazed at Elliot's transformed presence and saw not just a scientist, but a bridge between worlds. "We'll honor her trust," she declared, signaling humanity's commitment to this fragile alliance. As the Astrea departed X-427, Elliot looked back at the crystalline structure one last time. The Queen's voice echoed in his mind, not as a farewell, but as a promise. Asterisk, our stars are now aligned. Asterisk, and for the first time, humanity stepped forward not as conquerors, but as partners in the cosmic dance. The universe held its breath, watching what would come next.